Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. Again, welcome to Boss Radio Live, everyone. Woo, what a crazy Friday, right? But we have something great in store for you all. Just wait. We have the amazing Mothyna James Brightful on the show today. The amazing Mothyna James Brightful is going to be on the show today. But you all know what I have to do first. Just a little intro for the show. Thanks for joining us. Mothyna James Brightful will be coming right up. It's Boss Radio Live with NJ, your three-dimensional podcast. Baltimore, Maryland. I love my city. Wow. You have to have balance.
Mother's Day extravaganza event being held ILCC Lois Button Culver.
Come meet me today at the Spirit Center. I want to hear what you have to say. Hello, everyone. Again, this is Nichelle NJ on Boss Radio Live. So glad to be with you all. I want to know, did everyone have a crazy Friday like I did? It was a long day. So if you've had a long day, you have come to the right place because today we have an amazing guest on the show today, Mothyna James Brightful. I want to know, have you all ever been in a place where you have not felt balanced in your life? That's what today's episode is about. I felt unbalanced, like I can't get my bearings at times, and I'm sure all of you have as well. So come on, share today's show out if you have ever felt unbalanced and you know other people have as well. Share the show, and invite people to come in and listen because today is really going to be a treat. And just in case you don't know who Mothyna James Brightful is, she is one of the amazing visionaries behind the Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation movement. And she is a really awesome person. She's an awesome businesswoman, and she is just an amazing all-around speaker. If any of you have ever heard her speak or have ever been to Heal a Woman, Heal a Nation, you have definitely heard her speak. And also she is part of or CEO of StageReady Speakers. I got the opportunity myself to actually be a part of StageReady Speakers, which was really an amazing opportunity after the Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation conference. I was able to join in on her StageReady Speakers program. And some of the amazing things I learned, the arc of a story, how to really draw people in. But the biggest part of that was just knowing if you're ready to tell your story. And I'm sure we'll talk a little about that, but just being ready to tell your story. And one of the things that Mothyna says, which she'll probably go into when she, talks to you all, is that if you are boohooing and crying while you're trying to tell your story, then you might not be just ready to tell your story yet. You really have to be able to hear your story, speak your story, and not not that you don't get emotional, but that you're able to pull the audience into your story as well. And so that's one of the biggest things that I actually learned when I was in Stage Ready Speakers. Also, I think that when we're telling our story, we need to be able to really connect to the audience. And that's one of the things that we learned as well. So, with those things in mind, I'm not quite ready to tell my story yet. Maybe a little of it, but not all of it. But that was invaluable to go through the Stage Ready Speakers program, and so I just can't wait for her to come in and just explain to you all about that and talk to you about balance. And I want to know, for anyone who's watching, put in the chat, put the balancing act in the chat, because that's what we're talking about today, the balancing act. And we'll get a little more into that. But one of the things that really gets me messed up is just trying to make time for myself, which we actually talked about on a show prior with another guest of mine, Cherie M. Good. We talked about self-care. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today, because that's all in part of this balancing act as well. But that self-care is super important. And when you are really taking care of yourself, you can help everyone around you. And that includes your husband or wife, that includes your children, that includes anybody who's around you. You can also take better care of them as well. And so that is something that we definitely have to really think about. I remember years ago when I was working at a job whose name I will not mention. But while I was working at this job, I was finding myself staying there because I'm just pretty dedicated when I work. But I was finding myself staying there 7, 8 o'clock at night, just because I like to have my work done the next day. But how many of you know that when we do that, we suffer in other places? And so when I did that, of course, I wasn't helping my daughter with her homework. I wasn't taking care of things at the house like I really needed to. And I wasn't actually taking care of myself either. And so I just really wanted to find more balance. And that's actually when I went to a Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation conference that year. It was just so funny. And I really felt weird, almost like the Lord was leading me there. And before then, I usually would go maybe one of the days or maybe 2 of the days, and they had turned it into a 3-day event at this point. But I decided to go the entire weekend, and just being led, I just felt led to do that. And so I went. And when I went, it was so funny because it's like they were just really speaking to what I needed to hear. And when I did hear everything that I heard at the Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation conference, I really started to put it into play and make some changes in my life. And so I really do love the organization. And I do really love how they have just blessed women over the course of many years. And so I just have nothing but good things to say about it. But my point in that is, however the Lord is leading you, you need to find balance if you do feel that way. And so that is something certainly to consider. So one of the things about balance is that we really sometimes we don't even see it. We're so busy running around, we're working, we're going to, you know, running around after our children, just doing whatever. And so we don't necessarily even realize that we are balanced or unbalanced, I should say. And when we're unbalanced, able to we're not able to get everything done. We think that we are actually uh, going through and making things happen, and we're actually missing out on some things, or everything's not really being done well. And I remember I was actually in a class. I think I was taking it for work or whatever, and they were talking about when we are doing several things at one time, and we're trying to be master of everything that we're doing. Usually we don't. I think that the saying is jack of all trades and master of none. It's the terminology that they use. And so I think we really need to not try to multitask. Multitasking usually results in us not getting everything done. Instead, just try to concentrate on one thing at a time, and not take on so much. And then some of us need to just have the ministry of no. So that sounds terrible, but yeah, we need to have the ministry of no sometimes. And so that is something that I had to learn for myself, and I had to really, really understand. And so, enough of my ramblings about my issues with balance. This is why we're talking about this today. So, yeah, we're gonna get into it and talk about balance with Mothyna James Brightful. And I'm sure she always lays some nuggets on us. And hopefully, like I said, my internet holds up and we don't experience any more technical difficulties today. So, at any rate, I'm really looking forward to talking with Mothyna. But for those of you who don't happen to know who she is, just a little about her. Mothyna James Brightful, or Sister Mothyna, is an engaging and inspiring speaker, coach, author, and CEO of StageReady Speakers. Sister Mothyna was also one of the visionaries behind the groundbreaking Heal a Woman to Heal a Nation movement. With over 49,000 speaking hours, Sister Mothyna has continued to use her unique perspective and captivating stage presence to train and coach over 100,000 students. Recognized as one of 50 leading women in Maryland by the Daily Record and a recipient of the Lifetime Service Award from the White House, Sister Mothyna believes that community development is a lifetime commitment. In addition to her commitment to her community, Sister Mothyna currently works as the Director of Community Engagement and Training with Turnaround Inc., an organization that serves survivors of sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and human trafficking. For 17 years, she has inspired, motivated, and healed women so that they can embrace their journey and use their voice to speak their truth unapologetically and authentically. Yes, so that is Mothyna in a nutshell. So, everybody, let's welcome Mothyna James Brightful.
Hi, everyone. Oh, my God, Michelle, it is a pleasure to see you and be with you. Ooh, let us talk about this, because today
we needed some more balance, right?
Today was a need for balance, let me tell you. Can I jump right in for a second and just honestly tell you what happened? So, Michelle, I know those of us who are listening to this conversation, when we talk about balance, it's often this idea that things, if you think about a balanced scale, that you are weighing two things, right? And that what you're looking at is the desire for each of the things that you're holding or weighing will be equal. They'll be at the level playing field. That's what balance, we think balance looks like. And what I've decided just in the last few minutes, I'll be honest with you, okay, is that instead of this equal footing, instead of things leveling out just right, that truly what we're desiring isn't balance. Because if we would drive ourselves crazy, okay, if we try to make sure all of our mothering or parenting, all of our or guardianship, if we made sure all of our work, our jobs, our entrepreneurial efforts or endeavors, all of our friendships, all of our community commitments were all the same, can you imagine what a real scale would look like? It wouldn't just be two. It'll be like 7 or 8 things. And we're trying to make sure every single one of them stay at the exact same level.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feeling crazy, right?
Look, let me tell you something. I've been learning about something called the crazy cycle. And I realized that half the time we are on it and can't get off like a mouse on a wheel. And it's really bad.
You know, isn't that what I feel like we are driving towards truly is a sense of harmony and synergy. That everything, you know, when you're underwater, for example, let's say you go swimming and you take a dive underneath the water, right? Instinctually, the reason babies can learn to swim so early and so quickly is because they're used to holding that breath and it's instinctual. And so what happens is when you go underwater, you hold your breath. You can't breathe it in. You can't swallow the water. You hold your breath, right? So that's out of harmony if you were trying to breathe underwater, but instead you're in synergy. You're underwater, you're holding your breath, but your heart's still functioning. Your lungs are still functioning. Your limbs are still functioning, right? So that's what synergy actually is. Our bodies synchronize so that there are times of the day or night that our liver works harder than our stomach or our heart. That's synergy. And as humans, right, in our lives, we have multiple things operating just like our bodies do. And you can't always have your mothering equaled with your working. And did we not learn that in 2020 into 2021?
Exactly.
So you always have that. So instead, what we're searching for is synergy, harmony, that when they need to work together, they're working together. That's what we're looking for.
That's a word. That's a word. And you know, if you can get that harmony going on in your life, it makes everything just, I don't know, just so much easier. It makes everything flow so much better. And it doesn't feel like you're fractured or split into so many things. And so that's definitely something that I have struggled with. And that's actually one of the reasons that I really wanted to have a chat about this, is because, which I was rambling earlier when I was, if you all didn't know, I was.
You were flowing. You were rambling. You were slow. You were taking chaos and creating a course. Okay, you were in flow.
This is why I love you. This is why I love you, because look, you can take anything and make it sound good, okay? So yes, that's what I was doing right there. What she said. But yeah, I have struggled badly with this, and earlier I was talking about the ministry of no. And it's just something I had to come to terms with. And so I've had to learn myself how to not take on everything. Look, I'm about to use one of your sentences. Not to take on everything that does not serve me. So definitely important. And so speaking of, so I went through that whole intro, right? And I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about, oh, she's the director of community engagement, she's the
Yeah.
CEO of StageReady Speakers.
Yeah.
You were running the HWHN, or Heal a
Yeah.
Woman and Heal a Nation. None
Yeah.
of that included your family life, your spiritual
Right.
walk, your personal time, self-care, any right, any of that. And so I really want to know. I want to know the secret of how you not make it look exhausting. Can
Ooh.
you just
Do you? Let me tell you. I was putting. I put some additional concealer on. Okay. Concealer on. And it's funny. One of the amazing women in my community, shout out to Javon, she sent me a message earlier this week saying, do you know about the Nat ministry? I said, but it sounds like I need to be in the congregation, okay? So I started following the sister on Instagram. So I'll check her out. I don't know much about it, but just the words Nat ministry just says a lot, okay? And it's been a busy week for me this week. I was like up and running constantly every single day, back to back to back projects, as I was helping facilitate the staff retreat this week over at Turnaround. And so today was the last day, and it was supposed to be like the fun day, and it was so much fun. But I came home early, like, oh, I got about 2 hours or so before I have to get baby girl, 2.5 hours, before I have to be with Michelle, right? And so I was like sitting down. I was like, let me decompress. Let me just read for a couple of minutes. The next thing I know, I was asleep. Okay. When I popped up, I was like, I only have 90 minutes to get everything done. So that literally meant running to go get baby girl from daycare, bringing her back, giving her a snack, putting some more concealer on because girl get tired. Okay. Texting my husband and my sister-in-law and saying, don't forget at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7. And what happened? I was so wrong and late. And if most people who know me know, I had to start changing my language. I won't say I despise. I thoroughly dislike being late. I'm always the first one to the party. To leave too. I want to go take a nap in that ministry. And so I was about to lose it when I saw the message, and I was like, and I hate disappointing people. So I'm just like, and I was about to lose it. But then I was like, nope, there's nothing you can do about it. It's beyond at this point. Okay. Accept that your heart is known and show as much excellence as you can be present for in a moment. And so there's a couple of lessons in that, right? The first one is support systems. I don't do all this alone. I don't. Right? I rely on my sister-in-law. I rely on my husband. I rely on my sisters. I rely on my team to operate in their own zones of genius and excellence. And to say when I need help, and truly learning to say, I need help, and not trying to do it all alone. The other lesson in that is giving myself grace. I'm not going to be 190% all the time. The 70% of me is better than none of me.
Hey, I love that. I love that.
Right?
And that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
So that's the other, kind of piece and nugget and lesson in there was allowing myself to go, you know what? Present when you arrive. You are in control of time. You're in control of time. Not because we could make it. Time is a currency, right? It's a currency.
Yes.
We spend time. And the question becomes, what have I been spending it on? Where am I banking my time?
And that's a good one too.
And needing to sit in that. So I'm like, I haven't figured out the secret sauce. I aim for as much organization as I possibly can. Sometimes it's like, but especially when I know it's going to be a busy week or something like that. On Sunday, baby girl's clothes get laid out for the week. So all I'm doing in the morning is not thinking about it. I'm grabbing whatever I can do. I'm grabbing her clothes first thing in the morning because I've laid it out for the week. Her hair gets done for the week. Okay. And that's a ministry in and of itself. So it's in the mornings throughout that week. It's a brush up. Okay. I wish I could master meal planning because then you won't be able to tell me nothing.
Look, I can't get that one together myself. I keep trying. Look, I had to go actually into the office just one day, this week. And I was just proud of myself because I had my lunch bag. I was because so I can't for an entire week is rough for me.
And I was in the office the entire week this week for the first time in 18 months.
Wow.
Is that right? Yeah. Since March of last.
Yes, that is right.
You know, full days sitting in the office and all those things. So, and the other thing, like even support, I rely on my VA, my virtual assistant. Shout out to Gail. She's amazing. You got a chance to communicate with Gail. She and I know she was like, she put it on my calendar. I don't know how. I was like, she's gonna have some choice words for me too. So just relying on that and give yourself some grace.
Yeah, definitely.
Give yourself some grace. You're not always going to be on it every time, right? So I know certain things that, okay, next time around, try and put this in place. Try and put that in place. And sometimes you can put all the things in place and you still get hiccups that you don't plan for. Yeah. So that's definitely how I've started looking at it. And since I've begun looking at it that way, so many other things are easier to manage and support and be in flow with, like trying to get back to flow constantly. You know, my health is much easier to flow with. Okay. If you may have saw my stories and stuff like that over the last week, that I was like, okay, I'm trying to get back on a streak, right? With my workout streak and my app that tracks my workouts and things like that, of that nature. And what I realized is I'm like, oh, Dad, if I don't have 30 minutes, then I'm just going to try and do it later. Now, you know, the ministry words. Okay, let's talk. You talking ministry today. Let's talk about the 3 words that rule our lives, right? Now, later, and never. So I would say, my workout time is 6:30 a.m. But if I get up at 6:45, then I'm like, I don't have 30 minutes to do this right now. I'll do it later. Wow. But the 3 words that rule our lives. When is later? Later never comes. So if I don't get up and do it, then I just never get to it. But why am I beating myself up? What the app helped me realize is this. If I do anything, it doesn't matter if it's 5-minute breathing exercise, a 5-minute stretch, it tracks it and it keeps my streak going. Right? So if I just do 10 minutes, a 10-minute yoga session like I did this morning, it keeps my streak going. Just 10 minutes. So on the days when you don't have the 190%, can you get to 70? My 70% this morning was a 10-minute yoga session. And for the last 3 minutes, I was in one pose.
Wait, did you fall asleep? No.
I didn't fall asleep. It was close to it. It was definitely close to it. But that's so I've done that. I mean, you know, it gets you in. And I get motivated by seeing that. So I had to know what that. Apparently, I'm very motivated by badges, stickers, and little blue balls, like show my calendar versus money that I spent, you know, dollars and hundreds of dollars on hiring trainers and having gym memberships that I never used. But the fact that this little blue dot shows up on my calendar each week, if I just get up for 5 minutes and say yes to myself.
Wow. Now you mentioned a few things, and look, I'm just trying to go back in case people miss that, because you say things so eloquently, so I'm sure they got it. But you know, you talked about delegation.
Yeah.
You talked about leaning on your support system.
Yeah.
You talked about giving yourself grace even when you can't get everything done. And to me, that's being flexible.
Yeah.
That's being able to be flexible when things just don't go, you know, how you think they should. All of that. And so those are all things that we need. Oh, and excuse me, the biggest one of all, planning. So, you know, you talked about all of those, and those are certainly things that help us keep everything on track when we're able to do that. And so that is definitely something that I, need to do more often. So I'm sure we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I mentioned earlier when I was talking is about the thank you. It's about the self-care piece, which to
Mm-hmm.
me is really huge.
Yeah.
Is really huge because I think that is what allows you to refresh yourself.
Yeah.
Like for you, your yoga time
Mm-hmm.
can be part of your self-care.
Right.
But that that time that you take, whether it's a bubble bath, would just take a few minutes longer than it would have taken to take a shower
Mm-hmm.
and do a bubble bath or exercise or meditation. A big thing is mindfulness. I wanted to kind of talk about that too. But those are all, yeah, those are all things that are important as well as our job, our children, our husband, all the
Right.
things that we do. And so for you, like, where does like mindfulness, because mindfulness is just like almost just being
Mm-hmm.
aware of what's happening with you, and how do you feel like that really plays in with keeping or maintaining balance in your life?
One of the things that I think is so important, and I often teach a self-care, self-love class with creative nomads. Shout out to them. I'm giving shout outs all day long, right? Um, is we're talking about, we talk about self-care, right? And I break these down into three categories. So you have self-care, you have self-love, and you have self-worth, right?
Mm, mm,
Self-care are some of the strategies you mentioned, like a bubble bath, right? Or going out getting massage, going out getting your hands and your feet manicured, things like that, right? Self-care can tend to be things that may have cost to it. This is Mothyna's version of how I delegate and break this down. Can have things that may have a cost to it. And they're like things that you go and kind of do. Self-love is taking it a step up, and it's doing the things that may not even require cost, but are deeply connected to taking you deeper into yourself. So that, for example, may look like the journaling. That may look like taking a walk. It doesn't cost anything, but you're taking a walk, you're getting in tune, you're maybe having conversations with yourself.
mhm.
Conversation. A conversation with yourself means you do ask and answer the question.
And they tell us don't do that. So you're saying we should be. We
I say,
should be.
who knows? On the people that try to tell us we're crazy because as long as you don't answer yourself, then that means you're not. Listen here, that's part of the reason why we need to answer ourselves, because we feel crazy,
Mhm.
right? So self-love is a step deeper into the mental health aspect of this.
Mm,
Self-worth is intrinsic value. That no
wow.
matter what happens, no matter what you do, you cannot diminish the light. You cannot diminish the spiritual grounding. You cannot diminish those things. So if you can't rely on self-care, if you can't rely on self-worth, can you tap deeply and lean on, and not self-worth, lean, or you can't tap do self-care or self-love, lean deeply on self-worth. And that
Mhm.
often triggers for us going way beyond some of the other things that we would call self-care, like the bubble baths and so on. That's
Mhm.
leaning deeply on that spiritual aspect for many of us and doing what feeds your soul.
Mm,
That's intrinsic
wow.
value. That is self-worth. That's getting congruent within your being. And that's often the parts that no one can ever see.
Wow.
Somebody could walk in on you taking a bubble bath, okay? Somebody could walk and see you while you trying to get connected by the water, okay? Somebody may catch you like, hey girl, what's up? But that self-worth conversation, those are the things that we hope maybe the people who are truly assigned to be connected to your life, maybe every once in a while they for sure let you know that into me they see
Mm,
intimacy, the people you're deeply connected to. But no connection with another person can be deeper than the connection that feeds your soul.
mm,
So that's how I kind of frame those three areas. And so very often self-care is all we kind of need, right? That nap, that time to ourselves. We should really implement times of self-love, right? Going a bit deeper, getting that therapy session, right? And then self-worth, if we wash ourselves, right, in that on a regular basis, daily, and really tap it, like that takes us to a whole nother place.
Wow. And so, yeah, we need to get a little deeper with ourselves.
You know, my
Um,
favorite thing, girl, excavation is required for elevation.
mm, that's a good one. Excavation. Wow.
Yeah.
So, I and I don't want to, we're not going to stay stuck there, but I just want to I just wanted to talk about just briefly, like the journey that you've had,
Mhm.
coming to kind of a close, with Heal a
Yeah.
Woman to Heal a Nation. And I know that when I was reading, like the farewell, letter that you all put up, and all of that, and just thinking about the organization, one of the things that I was thinking about is, you were speaking about how when it's, time to move on, or close a chapter, or open a new chapter, and maybe it's both at the same time happening.
Mhm.
And which is, I believe that's kind of where you are right
Mhm.
now. And so, um, I really think that has to do some with balance as well, because
Mhm.
if we're not, following the path that's really for us, I think you can get out of balance there as well. And
Mhm.
so I really feel like we need to be able to lean into when things are changing, to be able, in order to keep ourselves centered, we
Yeah.
kind of have to go with that, and really, whether it's meditation, prayer, or whatever, to try to figure out where it is you're supposed to be, and
Yeah.
make sure you're not out of line with your journey.
Mhm.
And so I was just kind of wondering how that was for you, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Achievement, alignment, assignment. I've been given an assignment, right? I've been given an assignment, and the women who were connected to Healing Nation, you included, right? We all
Hmm.
had assignments to spend time with each other for a period of time. And when I think about achievement, we achieved, I mean, I mean, you mentioned like the communication regarding the our farewell like letter. I started remembering stuff that wasn't even on there. That things I had forgotten
Wow.
that we would, like, for example, I had forgotten that we were able to give and did provide social work CEUs. I forgot about that. See,
Yeah.
we
Wow.
we did way more stuff that I've forgotten about than I could even possibly truly probably remember.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of achievement. And very often we can look at achievement and think that that's what we're supposed to, the path we're supposed to stay on in order to stay aligned with our assignment. When the reality is, if you're not aligned, that's when your achievement can actually begin to decline. And we saw
Mm.
that.
Mm.
And I saw that, and I held on for as long as I could. But just like any other child, as a parent, you can only hold on and protect and keep them for
Wow.
so long. For so long. You know, I look at the experience of Healing Seal Nation as a nova, right?
Mm.
You know what a nova is? A nova is a star that's bright, that explodes. And the brightest time is right before the explosion. The brightest time is right before, in essence, it dies, right before the star
Mhm.
dies. And what we could say is, oh no, oh my gosh. But guess what? When that explosion happens, very often new stars are birthed because the matter material that goes out into the world, it puts matter material out into the world that then can create new planets.
Wow.
So Heal a Woman's Healing Nation was a star and a bright light, and the remnants of that will continue to move through the galaxy for every single woman, present company included, right?
Mhm.
That was a part of that experience. But guess what? Now we get to create new light.
Yes.
We get to be novas. And that light gets to continue to shine on and birth new possibilities. And guess what? There are people that where a star is positioned on another part of the galaxy, if you will, that never get a chance to see that star. So it's not until everything looks like death or looks like explosion and the remnants begin to move throughout the galaxy and connect and find other remnants and begin to pull together and become a new star, that that person or that thing is that's been looking for you get attracted to you because now they can see you.
Wow.
Now they can
That's
see you.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful experience and journey, and one I
Mm.
would not be the woman I am today without every single woman that's connected to Hilton Nation and our founders. Yeah.
Wow. And I feel like I guess the movement going through that, taking that journey,
Yeah.
naturally led you to Stage Ready Speakers because and and I was just thinking about the experience I had myself, and I was talking about that for a little second, but
Mm.
uh it was, you know, I think it was the last one we were at, which was
Mhm.
like, was it 2019?
Yeah.
2019, and it was the last one, and we were in a I don't even know what the name of the class was, but you remade my story, right? And for those of you that are watching, this is the crazy thing. I when you remade my story, I tripped through it. I kind of, didn't want to go too far.
Mm.
I was like getting emotional and all of that. And you came up there and you turned my story around probably in about a good minute and made it sound so eloquent and so beautiful and so engaging.
Mm.
Uh, that I started crying. I was like, "Oh my gosh, my own story! Wow!" I'm,
Oh,
I'm listening to you talk about it and I'm crying. And
yeah.
that is, you've always been a beautiful speaker. Like when we've heard you speak at different events, always an amazing speaker. But to see you do that was truly, I mean, it was awe inspiring to watch, and so you're definitely like on your path, which you know that. But but I just cannot wait for all of the people that will be blessed by what you're doing with Stage Ready Speakers. And if you want to just talk about that for a second,
Oh, thank
so
you so much.
yeah.
And thank you even for sharing because, I think what I tap into is what I hear and what I feel and what connects to me. And you do have a beautiful story. You do have an empowering story. And so it made it a lot easier to be able to share it back in the way that I can hear it and add some of the aspects that are technique things, right? Things that I learned
Mhm.
how to do or that I was already doing that I then learned why it was so powerful and what it means to be able to relay a story in that way. I believe that one of the greatest gifts we have is the currency of oral tradition. And it doesn't matter if you're going to stand on a stage in front of millions of thousands of people and share your message. That is just as valuable as a one-on-one conversation with someone, because that one person that you just inspired may just be the next Michelle Obama, right?
Mm,
Maybe the
yeah.
person that cures cancer, just
Mm,
because they had the opportunity to connect with the message that you offered or shared. One story can truly change the world. And we've seen that happen over and over and over again. And so for me, while going through that 17-year journey with Healing Nation, I had the blessing of hearing multiple stories. And before it started off just within the unit, right? Just within the team of us who were planning and put together the projects and initiatives that was part of Healing Nation. And we would say, okay, I hear your story. Here's what I heard, and here's how you can add more color and texture and feeling into it. And that's where we would do it. And it was at a Woman to Healing Nation event where I'll never forget her. A woman who's probably in her early 60s walked up to me and said, Mothyna, she grabbed my left hand. She said, Mothyna, I want to be able to stand on the stage with you one day. And she was pointing with her right hand to the stage. She said, I want to stand on that stage with you one day. And I was like, I'm ready for it. And I'll never forget, because I was literally looking down at her, because I was wearing heels at events. I'm only 5'2" in the third. And I started, and she was like, but I need help to get there. And she was still holding on to my left hand. And I remember picking her hand and like squeezing it and like lifting it as I talk, because I talk with my hands, if y'all have not picked that up by now. And I'm holding on to her hand and I'm squeezing as she talks, and I'm looking in her eyes. I'm like, oh, we can get you connected with this organization and these people so you can work on sharing your story. And she like squeezed my hand and pulled it down. And that required me to lean even closer into her. And she said, but Mothyna, I trust you. And at that moment, in April of, I believe that was 2016, I said, okay, then we're going to build something for you. And by that July, we hosted not StageReady Speakers, we hosted Storyteller Speakers was the name of the training that we started doing. And we did it for a couple of years. And she was the first person to register, the first person to speak at the event. And therefore, she was the first person to catch cash that was in my pocket to give to the first person who was willing. Right? Because she was so aligned to be ready in that season to share her story. And it was a completely, truly compelling story. And I was just like, but that really propelled this idea and this journey, because it didn't stop. That was like the opening of the floodgates. I thought I was complete. Like I did what I told you I was going to do. But it was the opening of the floodgates, and it just kept coming and kept happening. And very often, I think those of our listeners who are connected with us in community right now will know that you sometimes experience situations or moments where you feel called to something, but then you start giving your power away to other people, thinking that you're not ready to maintain or hold that power.
Wow.
You are.
Wow.
I've loved StageReady Speakers, and I currently I do just go to Mothyna.com, StageReadySpeakers.com. You get more information. But I'm getting ready to roll out a schedule of events for the rest of the year where you can like learn when I'm hosting classes, workshops, and things that are coming up. I'm going to do an Ask Mothyna Anything session that's coming up really soon. And where you get to ask me any question that you want about how to speak, tell stories, public speaking skills, training, conquering fear, mastering the skill of 30-second stories versus 30-minute stories, really honing that gifting. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about it and what's coming up next.
Well, that's amazing. And for any of you who think that you want to speak, if you even think it, I suggest you go to Mothyna.com and go ahead and look into StageReady Speakers. That is an excellent program, and like I said, it will definitely show you how to really tell your story in a beautiful way. And I think that's the thing. We can tell our stories, but that connection with the audience, that really being able to, like you were talking about, kind of break it down where I can talk to you for 30 seconds, I can talk to you for the 30 minutes, and you'll get the same effect because I'm able to really get through to you what I'm saying. And so, yeah, definitely. So, Mothyna, I thank you. Look, today's show was pretty interesting, but I'm so glad that you were here and really to talk to us about balance and all of that. And I just, want, I guess, anything that you want to talk about as far as what you are doing or what you have coming up. Do you want to mention anything there?
Well, I would love, you already put the website up, Mothyna.com, and I'm at All Things Mothyna on every social media platform. I love my team and my community because they're like, well, we want to see you, and this is one of the ways we can see you, and you've been lying. We've been looking for you. And really beautiful. Just to like pop in, do quick little pieces and bits, and just share what's on my mind, on my heart, or when I recorded a message and didn't get a chance to share, I'm like, oh, let me shoot that up there. So yeah, I'm at Mothyna at all things, Instagram, Facebook, all those pieces. And so we get a chance to connect there, and you'll be able to see what I have coming up next. I want to thank you again for your grace, for your diligence. Congratulations on really stepping out and doing some work that has been part of you for a while. The very first time I think I met you, I don't remember what this show was called, but you mentioned to me you were doing a radio show program at that time. Kirby put us together. I cannot remember, right? Because I'm older than I look. And I remember like, wow. And so to be a part of your journey through this process and to even get to this point and knowing that this is the beginning and there's so much more open and available to you. So thank you so much for trusting me with this part of the journey.
Oh, thank you. And for those of you, again, who want to look her up, go to, it's really quick and simple, mothyna.com, and just find out more information about Stage. I just can't talk enough about StageReady Speakers because you're amazing. But thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us today. So sorry for our technical difficulties and all that earlier today, but this was still a really amazing episode. Thank you to our guest, Mothyna. And for you all, I will see you next time, actually on our next show coming up, and I'll show that. Right now, we have the amazing, that's if Marcy, we still got technical problems. My amazing guest, Miss Angela Wharton.
Oh, let me do that then. Let me do that. So, your family, we are so excited to have you and our community. And our next guest is none other than the Angela D. Wharton. Angela is an inspiring powerhouse and an advocate for those who experience sexual assault, sexual violence, and the work that she's been able to do to transform her ministry and transform this work is truly powerful. You want to join us at our next broadcast on June 25th at 6 p.m. y'all. 6 p.m. Don't do like me. 6 p.m. and have author, speaker, advocate Angela D. Wharton, who is going to be with us. This is something you do not want to miss. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are excited to see you next time.
Amazing. I love it. Okay, you guys, I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on Boss Radio Live. Stay boss.